The jungle was quiet. Too quiet. Jace had landed his ship just minutes ago. Looking for water and rest, his scanners showed no danger. But something didn't feel right. The air was heavy, warm, and filled with the smell of old fire and wet leaves. Then he heard it, a scream, sharp and full of pain, cut through the night. It was a woman's voice, but not human. It came again, louder, shaking with fear. Please, please, somebody help me. My baby isn't waking up. Jace grabbed his bag and ran toward the sound. His boots crunched over roots and broken stone as he pushed through the trees. He moved quickly, heart racing, flashlight bouncing. The cry was closer now. He broke through a thick wall of vines and stopped in the middle of a small clearing. Under the pale moonlight, a figure knelt in the dirt. It was an alien woman, blue-skinned, her clothes torn and soaked with mud. Her long white hair stuck to her face as she rocked back and forth. In her arms, she held something small to still. Jace stepped forward slowly. "Hey," he said, soft and careful. "I heard you." The woman looked up fast, eyes wide with fear. "Don't hurt her," she cried, pulling the baby closer. Jace raised both hands. "I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm human, just landed nearby." The alien woman blinked. Then her body started to shake. "My baby. She won't wake up," she whispered. Her voice cracking. Jace knelt beside her, trying to see the child. The baby was wrapped in a blanket, but her skin was pale and lips faint purple. Jace placed 2 fingers on the baby's neck. There, faint. But there, a pulse. "She's alive," Jace said. "But weak." The mother broke into tears. "They said she was cursed." "They wouldn't help us." "Who said that?" Jace asked. "The village? The elders. They told me to leave. Said I was dirty and my baby was wrong." Jace looked around. The clearing was empty. No signs of others. "Let me take her to my ship," he said. "I have tools. Maybe I can help." The alien mother hesitated, holding her baby tight. "Don't even know your name," she whispered Jace. He said, "I'm a mechanic. But I've helped sick people before. I'm Rava," she said slowly. "And this is Luma." Oh, Jace pulled off his jacket and gently wrapped it around the baby. "She needs warmth, fast," he said. Rava nodded and stood up, but she was limping. "Here," Jace said, offering his arm. Together they walked through the dark jungle, each step heavy with fear and hope. As they moved, Rava spoke softly. "She's only 6 weeks old. Her father was from the mountain caste. I was from the sea caste." Jace looked at her, confused. "Our kinds don't mix," Rava said. "They hated us for loving each other." "What happened to him?" "They came at night, took him away. Said it was law." Jace said nothing, his grip on the baby growing tighter. He hated this kind of cruelty. Was the same on too many worlds. They reached the edge of the jungle and saw Jace's ship glowing in the distance. Rava gasped when she saw it. "I've never been inside a sky metal," she whispered. Jace pressed a button and the ramp lowered with a hiss. Warm light spilled out and the sound of machines hummed softly. Inside, it felt like a different world, clean, safe, full of light. He guided her to the small med bay and placed the baby on the padded bed. Machines lit up, scanning the tiny body. "Her oxygen is low." "Very low," Jace said. "She's fading." He quickly fitted a mask over her mouth, sending soft pulses of air. Rava stood frozen, hands clasped in prayer. "Please, please save her. Human," she said, voice shaking. Jace turned and looked her in the eyes. "I'll try everything I can," he said firmly, "but you'll have to trust me." "I already do," she whispered, outside. The jungle was still again, but in that small ship, hope had returned. For now, the baby still breathed. And a stranger had answered the cry in the dark. Jace didn't sleep that night. He sat beside The baby's bed, eyes on the monitor, watching every heartbeat. The air mask was helping her breathe. But her pulse stayed weak. Her tiny chest rose and fell slowly. Each breath, a small fight. Rava sat on the floor, holding her knees. Her eyes red from crying. She didn't speak much, just stared at her daughter, lips moving in silent prayers. Jace tapped his COM device, opening a signal to the nearest local settlement. "Emergency medical request," he said. "I need help with an alien infant in critical condition." There was a long pause. Then a cold voice replied, name and origin. Jace Holden, Earthborn, human, species of the patient. Unknown mix half sea caste, half mountain caste. Silence followed. Then the voice came back, flat and final. Request denied. No such infant should exist. Jace frowned. "What do you mean? Denied?" "This is a life-threatening emergency. Your signal is logged. Do not approach the settlement." The voice said. The line cut off. Jace stared at the device in disbelief. What kind of people refuse help to a baby? He said under his breath. Rava didn't look surprised. "They warned me this would happen," she whispered. "Told me the child would bring shame." Jace stood, anger boiling in his chest. "They can rot in their precious rules," he said. "We'll save her without them." He opened a storage case and pulled out a med kit. "I have some human medicine," he said. "It might not be made for your kind, but it's all I've got." Rava looked at the baby. "Do it." "Anything, please." Jace took a sample of the baby's blood using a scanner he needed to match chemicals carefully. His AI assistant was offline. Damaged during his last space jump, so he had to do everything by hand, checking data, adjusting. Dose testing with caution. As he worked, Rava finally told her full story. "We lived in a cave near the valley stream," she said. "Hidden from both castes, I gave birth alone." Her voice trembled. "Only my sister helped me. But the elders found out, and they took my sister as punishment." Jace looked over, surprised, took her. "They sent her into the mines." "She never came back," Rava whispered. "So I ran." Jace shook his head slowly. "I've seen evil before, but this is something else." Rava nodded. "They believe mixing bloodlines makes a child broken." "She's not broken." Jace said sharply. "She's just a baby. She deserves to live." He injected the first dose of a stabilizer safe for over 50 species. But still a risk. The baby twitched slightly, then calmed again. Jace's hands stayed ready in case of a reaction. Minutes passed, then an hour. The baby's pulse grew steadier. "Something's working," Jace said, relief in his voice, but before they could celebrate. The COM screen blinked tan, incoming. "Signal," he answered it carefully. An alien face appeared old, with pale eyes and gold markings on the forehead. "You were warned, human," the elder said. "That child must not be kept alive." Jace stepped in front of the screen. "She's not dying," he said. "She's fighting, and I'm helping her." "You interfere in blood matters beyond your understanding," the elder said coldly. "Then explain it to me," Jace snapped. "What law says a baby must die?" "The law of purity," the elder replied. "A mixed child can carry chaos in its blood." Jace disconnected the call. He didn't care about their law. He turned to Rava. "We're not staying here." Rava looked up, tired but hopeful. "Where will we go?" "I'll get you off this planet," he said. "There are human colonies with real doctors and people who don't judge." Rava touched his hand. "Why are you helping us?" Jace looked at her for a moment, then at the baby. "Because someone has to," he said simply. He checked the baby's vitals, again improved, but still weak. She needed better care than he could give on his own ship, but time was running out. Just then, something moved outside the window. Jace grabbed his scanner, picked up several life forms, circling the ship. "Rava, stay low," he said. Moving toward the control panel, he switched off exterior lights, hoping to make The ship invisible in the trees. But then came a knock-slow, heavy, on the outside hull. Rava froze. Holding her breath. Who is it? Jace called out. A voice replied, "Open the door, human. We only want the child." Jace's hands curled into fists. He leaned over the control panel and quietly activated defense shields. "No," he said into the speaker. "She's not. Yours to take." There was silence for a moment. Then the voice returned, darker now. "Then you will suffer with her." Jace turned to Rava. "They're not going to stop," he said. "So we'll have to escape before they break in." Rava looked down at her baby girl, who was still sleeping but breathing. She nodded, voice calm and strong. "Then we run. For her." The pounding on the hull grew louder. It echoed through the ship like thunder, making the walls tremble. Jace kept his body between Rava and the door. The baby Luma lay on the medbed with a steady but weak pulse. They didn't have much time. Jace rushed to the cockpit and checked the power systems. "Shields are holding." "But not for long," he muttered. Rava stood behind him, holding her baby close. Her arms shaking. "They won't stop," she whispered. "They believe taking her will fix their shame." Jace clenched his jaw. "Let them try," he said. "I'll blast through them if I have to." He activated the flight systems, but the engines coughed low power. Not enough fuel. "We need to make it to the mountain pass," he said. "There's an old fuel station on my map. 20 kilometers north." Rava's eyes widened through the jungle. "Only way." He nodded, "Too thick to fly over." "But I can carry her." Outside, figures moved past the windows, dozens of them. They were surrounding the ship, holding long spears and glowing torches. Some wore masks. Others had their faces painted with symbols. "They're not here to talk." Jace said, "They're ready for blood." He grabbed his emergency gear, a powered exosuit with armor plating, a laser cutter, and a med pack. Then he carefully placed Luma in a portable incubator capsule designed for fragile cargo. The baby's oxygen mask stayed fixed, and the capsule had light shielding from heat and impact. "She'll be safe in this, but we need to move fast," Jace said. Rava wrapped herself in a thick cloth, hiding her face. "I'll follow you," she said. Her voice strong despite the fear in her eyes. Jace opened the back hatch quietly, using a manual override so it wouldn't make noise. The moment it cracked open, the smell of smoke hit them hard. Ash floated through the air like black snow. They slipped out into the night. Staying low, the jungle ahead was thick. But Jace's exosuit had pathfinding lights and weight support. He carried the incubator with ease, moving fast through the dark underbrush. Rava followed close, dodging roots and ducking under branches behind them. A loud shout rang out. They've escaped. "Find the human and the cursed child." Jace didn't stop. He moved like a shadow, stepping over logs. Weaving through the trees, his mind stayed sharp, calculating every move. He heard footsteps behind multiple, fast, angry, faster. He whispered to Rava, "They're tracking us." Rava pushed herself harder, even though she was barefoot and bleeding from the thorns. She didn't care. All that mattered was her baby's safety. They came to a narrow creek, the water deep and fast. "Cross here," Jace said. "It'll help cover our scent." He stepped in, water rising up to his waist. Rava followed, gasping at the cold. Halfway across, she slipped. Jace reached out, grabbing her arm and pulling her up just in time. Once on the other side, they moved uphill, the ground turning rocky and sharp. Jace checked the baby. She was stable, but her body was still cold. "We need warmth soon," he said. "The capsule is good, but not perfect." A sound came from the trees ahead. Wig snapping, Jace stopped, lifting the laser cutter. A figure stepped out. It was a young alien, female, with soft gray skin and wide green eyes. She raised her hands quickly. "Wait, I'm not with them," she whispered. I came to help. Rava stared. Larry. The girl nodded. I'm your cousin. I followed when I heard they were hunting you. Jace lowered the cutter slightly. Why? Would you help? Larry stepped closer. Because I remember when you saved my brother from drowning. And because I don't want to live in fear anymore. She pointed to a hidden trail. There's a shortcut through the crystal cave Sit leads straight to the fuel station. Jace looked at Rava, who nodded. We follow her, he said. It's better than being out in the open. They moved fast through the narrow path, lit only by glowing moss and the faint shimmer of crystal rocks. The walls sparkled, casting soft light over their faces. Larry ran ahead, clearing the path, but even inside the cave, the echoes of their hunters grew louder. They're close, she said. We need to seal the entrance. Jace placed a charge at the mouth of the cave and activated it. Boom! Rocks crashed down, sealing the entrance behind them. The noise echoed through the tunnel, but it bought them time. The baby stirred slightly inside the capsule. Jace leaned down, gently brushing her tiny hand. She's holding on, he said softly. Just a little longer. Rava crouched beside him, resting her forehead against the capsule. I will never stop running for her, she whispered, even if I die trying. They reached the far end of the cave, and sunlight poured in. Ahead, on a ridge, was the old fuel station's mall. Broken, but still glowing with life. Jace smiled. We made it this far. Let's finish it. But in the distance, above the treetops, something else was coming. A flying scout ship, marked with the same symbol as the village elders. They've sent the sky hunters. Larry said, voice trembling. Jace tightened his grip on the incubator, eyes locked forward. Then we'll make our stand there, he said. Because I will not let them touch this child. They reached the fuel station just as the sun began to rise. The old building stood like a ghost-rusted metal walls, cracked glass, vines crawling up the sides. Jace scanned the area, eyes sharp. It wasn't perfect, but it was shelter. He kicked opened the bent door and guided Rava and Luma inside. The air smelled like burnt wires and old oil. Stay here, he said, setting the baby capsule on a clean table. Let me power up the station. Larry found an old control box in the corner and helped Jace connect wires. Sparks flew, and a low hum returned to the room. Dim lights flickered on. Systems alive, Jace said. Enough to charge the capsule and warm the baby. Rava gently placed her hand over the glass of the capsule. Her daughter's small chest moved slowly but steadily. She's stronger now, Rava whispered. I can feel it. Jace nodded but didn't smile. Because outside, the hum of engines was growing louder. The sky hunters were getting close. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the station's speaker. It was the same cold elder from the village. We see you, human, he said. We give you one chance. Give us the child, and you may leave unharmed. Jace moved to the window, eyes narrowing at the 3 scout ships hovering above the trees. Their weapons were not armed yet, but they could be. Cowards, he muttered. They won't fight face to face. The speaker crackled again. We do not wish to harm the mother, the elder said. But if you resist, we will take her. And the child by force. Rava stood, her hands clenched. I won't let them touch her again, she said, even if they kill me. Larry looked between them, her voice shaking. They'll destroy the station if they must, and say it was an accident. Jace turned to her. Then we give them a reason to hesitate. He stepped outside slowly, both hands raised. The wind whipped at his jacket as the scout ships hovered above. Listen to me. Jace shouted, you're not getting the baby. Not today, not ever. A loudspeaker from the scout ship replied, you are protecting a cursed life. Human, no, Jace yelled. I'm protecting an innocent child, because clearly, your laws forgot what mercy is. A pause. Then the elder's voice came again. Then choose, he said. Cold and final. The mother or the baby. Jace blinked, not sure he heard it right. What? Give us the child, and we'll let the mother live, the voice said. Give us the mother, and we'll spare the child. Raise it as law demands. You call that mercy? Jace shouted, fists shaking. You want me to choose who dies? Inside the station, Rava heard everything. She walked outside and stood beside Jace, holding her daughter's capsule against her chest. No, she said loudly, voice clear, I will not let you take either of us. The elder replied, then we take them both. Suddenly, a sound came from the forest marching. More villagers were coming. Armed with staff weapons and shock spears, Jace backed up toward the door, eyes locked on the growing crowd. We have maybe 5 minutes, he said to Rava. They'll charge. And I can't fight all of them. Then a quiet beep came from the medreader, Luma's vitals. Improving, her oxygen level rose, and her tiny fingers twitched. Jace looked at Rava. She's waking up. Rava dropped to her knees, eyes wide with tears. Luma? The baby's eyes fluttered, glowing softly with the color of dawn. She opened her mouth and let out a soft, weak cry. She's alive, Rava gasped. She's alive. Larry stepped forward and whispered, they won't understand. But if they see her awake, glowing, they might believe she's gifted. Jace nodded. Quickly adjusting the capsule's transparency, he turned it outward, facing the oncoming crowd. Let them see her, he said. Let them see what they almost destroyed. As the villagers reached the clearing, they stopped staring at the glowing infant inside the capsule. Whispers spread, gifted. Impossible. A sign. The elder's voice cracked through the speaker again, this time uncertain. She glows like the old ones. Jace stepped forward, voice hard. You wanted to kill her, he said. But now that she shines, you want to claim her. He pointed at the crowd. You don't deserve her, Rava held her daughter high, tears running down her face. She is mine, she said. She was never cursed, only unloved by cowards. One elder dropped his staff and knelt. Others followed, confused, ashamed. The scout ships began to rise slowly, fading into the sky without a word. No attack came, no fire, just silence. Jace looked at Rava and whispered, you changed their hearts. She shook her head gently. No. Luma did. Inside the old station, light returned, and for the first time in days. So did peace, but Jace knew it wouldn't last. They had seen too much, challenged too many laws. This peace was only for now, and the real escape was still to come. The wind slowed, the air turned still, and all eyes alien and human focused on the capsule. Inside it, tiny Luma shifted, her glowing eyelids fluttering like soft wings. Jace knelt beside her, eyes wide, breath held. Rava crouched close, her hands trembling against the clear lid. Then it happened, with a soft cry. The baby opened her eyes, bright golden, glowing gently in the low light. It was like a second sunrise. Rava gasped, then sobbed with joy. She's awake. She's really awake. Jace checked the vitals again, pulse stronger, breathing stable. He couldn't believe it. Luma had survived, and more than that, she had changed. Her body shimmered faintly with the light of both her bloodlines. The sea casts blue hue, and the mountain casts fireborn glow. The villagers stood in silence, their weapons lowered, their eyes wide. Even the elders, who moments ago called her cursed, now stared in awe. She carries the old light. One whispered, she is. A child of balance, said another, voice shaking, but not everyone bowed. From the back of the crowd, a tall figure stepped forward, wearing black armor, face hidden behind a golden mask. High Elder Dornock. He was known across the region, feared, obeyed, and never questioned. His voice cut through the calm. This is not a miracle, he growled. It is a trick. A trick by the human. The crowd turned, confused, unsure. Jace stood up slowly, eyes locked on the masked elder. "You still can't accept it," he said, "even when it's right in front of you." "She is alive," Rava shouted, standing next to Jace, holding her baby proudly. She was never cursed, only hunted. Dornoch stepped forward, raising his staff. "If the child lives, she must be tested," he said. "Let her survive the old right hand, then we'll see if she is truly gifted." "What kind of test?" Jace asked, voice cold and ancient. Dornoch answered, "The child must be bathed in the pool of spirit flame. If she lives, we accept her. If not, fate has spoken." Rava screamed, "No, you want to kill her." The crowd murmured, some agreeing, some afraid. Jace raised his voice, firm and strong. "You had your chance," he said. "You left this baby to die. But now she's alive because someone cared." He pointed to Larry, to Rava, to himself. "Not because of your rules, not because of your counsel," he said, "but because of love and courage." Luma cooed inside the capsule, her little fingers pressing gently against the glass. She was calm, peaceful, even smiling, and that sight broke the tension. One of the younger villagers stepped forward, a healer, eyes wide with tears. "I studied the old texts," she said quietly. The glow of her eyes, the balance of her skin. "She matches the signs. She is not cursed, she is chosen." A silence followed, deep and heavy. Then slowly, one by one, villagers began kneeling again, not out of fear, but respect. Dornoch gripped his staff tighter, shaking with anger. "This is blasphemy," he barked. "You bow to a half-blood." "She is more whole than any of us," Rava said, stepping forward. "I was thrown out, my mate was murdered, and my child was nearly lost, but still, she shines." Dornoch raised his weapon, fury blazing in his eyes. "Then all of you are traitors," he shouted, "and you, human, will not leave this place alive." He charged forward, but Jace was ready. He drew his laser cutter and stepped. In front of Rava and Luma, the two blades metalled tech versus human steel. They clashed, sparks flying, the villagers gasping. Jace pushed back hard, knocking the staff from Dornoch's hands. "You call yourself a leader," Jace said, breathing hard. "But you were ready to kill a child to protect your pride." Dornoch fell to his knees, defeated. The crowd didn't help him. They turned away, choosing peace over his hate. Rava looked around, holding her baby close. "I don't need your blessing," she said to the elders. "I only needed my daughter." Jace helped her back into the station. Inside, Luma giggled softly, reaching out from the capsule. "She's strong," Jace said, smiling for the first time in days, "and she's going to live." Rava kissed her baby's forehead, tears in her eyes. "She was born into hate," she whispered, "but she will grow with love." Larry stepped beside them. "You're not safe here," she warned, "even if the village bends. Others will not." Jace nodded. "Then we leave." Rava looked up, calm and sure. "Yes," she said. "Let's take her to a world that sees her as a miracle, not a mistake." Outside, the villagers stayed silent as Jace prepared the ship. None stopped him, none dared. And as the engines powered up, the soft golden light from the capsule glowed brighter than ever. A child once called cursed, now flying toward a new life. The ship hummed with new life. Jace stood at the control panel, watching the energy flow across the screens. Fuel levels low but enough. Engines warm but not ready for battle. They had one shot, and it had to be clean. Rava sat beside Luma, holding the baby close. The child now slept peacefully in her arms, glowing gently under the ship's soft lights. For the first time, she looked like any other mother, tired but proud. Larry stood by the window, eyes scanning the trees below. "They're gathering again," she said, voice tense. Some elders bowed, but others still want blood. Jace nodded slowly. I figured they'd want revenge for what happened to Dornoch. He didn't die, Larry replied, but his pride did. And that's more dangerous. Jace began entering coordinates into the Navy system. I found a human outpost, he said, 2 hours away, on the edge of the Narthic Belt. Will they help us? Rava asked. They will, Jace replied. Humans don't care about bloodlines. They care about life. Suddenly, a red light flashed on the console. Proximity alert, Jace muttered. A scout drone buzzed past the ship, then 2 more. They're scanning us, Larry said. Tracking your heat signature, Rava's grip on Luma tightened. They'll never stop, will they? She whispered, No, Jace said. But they won't catch us either. He handed Larry a small device. What's this? She asked. Distraction beacon, Jace said. You'll run in the opposite direction with a tittle look like the ship is moving. Larry's eyes widened. You want me to lead them away? They won't hurt you, he said. They still see you as one of them, but if they do. She asked quietly. Then you run faster than they do, he replied, a small smile on his face. She took a deep breath and nodded, for Luma. Jace gave her a thermal cloak and a flare beacon. When it's clear, fire the flare, I'll come for you. Larry placed a hand on Rava's shoulder. Take care of her. Rava pulled her into a tight hug. You're my family. No matter what happens, Larry stepped out into the night and vanished into the forest. Within seconds, the ship sensors picked up movements, several scouts changing direction to chase the false heat trail. It's working, Jay said. Let's move. Now he lifted the baby capsule and led Rava to the cockpit. The ship lifted off, slow and silent at first, but as they rose above the trees, a loud crack shook the ship. What was that? Rava gasped. Jace checked the panel's cannon fire. Someone mounted a ground turret. Another blast rocked. The left wing, alarms screamed. They're trying to bring us down before we clear the ridge. Growled. We need altitude, fast. He angled the ship upward, straining the engines. One more blast missed, then another grazed the wing. Sparks flew, but they stayed airborne. Jace gritted his teeth, his hands gripping the controls. Come on, girl. Hold together just a little. Longer, he whispered to the ship. The engines roared as they passed the treetops. Finally, above the forest, the stars opened before them. But their troubles weren't over. 2 scout ships appeared on radar, chasing fast from the east. They're gaining on us, Rava said, panic rising in her voice. Not for long. Jace replied. He opened the hidden control panel beside him. Inside was a box marked Emberst, Emergency Pulse. Rava asked. Yes, he said, but it'll knock our systems out too, if you use it. We fall. Only for a few seconds, Jace said. Long enough to lose them. He waited until the scouts locked on, then slammed the button. A wave of blue light exploded from the ship. The scouts spun out, systems crashing, gens dead. In midair, Jace's ship shut down too, lights blinking out. They dropped fast. Rava held onto Luma, eyes closed, praying. The wind screamed past them as the ship fell toward the ocean. Then at the last second, systems came back online. Jace pulled hard on the controls, leveling out just above the waves. Water sprayed across the windows, but they were flying again. Hold tight, he said. We're almost there. 10 minutes later, the stars above them shifted. The outline of a large human station came into view, gray steel, blinking lights, and the Terran flag flying high. Jace opened the comm channel. This is Pilot Jace. Holden, requesting emergency landing, infant medical case. A calm voice replied, Landing pad 7 is clear, sending med team now. Rava broke into tears. We made it. We really made it. Jace looked over at Luma, who is now fully awake. Her golden eyes wide. You made it, he said softly. You're going to be safe now, as they landed. Rava placed her hand on Jace's arm. You didn't just save her, she said. You saved me too. He smiled, tired but proud. Let's get her the help she deserves. And as the ship door opened and human doctors rushed in, the baby, who was once called cursed, was now being treated like a miracle. Bright lights filled the docking bay as the ship touched down. The hatch opened with a hiss, and the cold steel floor of the human outpost welcomed them. Doctors in clean white suits rushed forward, guiding Rava gently out of the ship. One of them carefully lifted Luma's capsule, scanning her vitals as they walked. She's stable, one doctor said. We'll get her into the medbay right away. Jace followed close behind, eyes watching every step. He didn't relax Yet, not until he knew the baby was truly safe. The human medbay smelled like antiseptic and warm air. Rava sat on a padded bench, her eyes locked on the baby through a glass wall. Luma lay inside a transparent pod filled with soft light, her tiny body surrounded by floating sensors. She's never had anything like this, Rava whispered. Not even a warm bed. Jace sat beside her, hands resting on his knees. She has it now, he said, and more. A nurse walked in and handed Rava a blanket and a warm drink. You should rest, she said kindly. Your baby is in good hands. But Rava shook her head. I've waited too long to rest, she replied. I'll sleep when I know she's safe. Hours passed, but they felt like years. Finally, a young doctor walked in with a gentle smile. She's recovering well, he said. No infection. No nerve damage. Her strength is returning faster than we thought. Rava gasped, eyes full of tears. Can I hold her? The doctor nodded. Yes. She needs her mother. Rava stood slowly and walked toward the med pod. The glass lowered, and she reached in, lifting Luma into her arms. The baby made a soft sound, eyes glowing faintly, and curled into her mother's chest. She remembers me, Rava whispered. She still knows my heartbeat. Jace watched quietly, heart full. He had seen many things across the stars, but nothing like this. A few hours later, a human officer came to speak with Jace. Your report about the child and what happened on the planet Tit's been received by command. Am I in trouble? Jace asked, raising an eyebrow. The officer shook his head. On the contrary, he said, they've authorized sanctuary for both the mother and child. Full human protection. Rava stood nearby, holding Luma. Sanctuary? She asked. Unsure of the word, Jace smiled. It means you're safe, Rava. No more running. He said, no more hiding. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she hugged Luma tighter. She'd grow up in peace. Rava whispered, with kindness. That night, they were given rooms in the family wing of the outpost. It wasn't fancy, but to Rava, it felt like a palace. She bathed Luma in warm water, dressed her in soft human cloth, and sang to her in the old tongue of the sea caste. Jace sat on the floor nearby, fixing his broken comlink, but his eyes kept drifting back to the two of them. They looked like they belonged there, like they'd always belonged. The next morning, Rava stood at the window, looking out at the stars. Jace came up behind her, sipping a cup of hot tea. Still feels strange, she said softly. A sky full of stars, and not one chasing me. Jace chuckled. They're just stars, now, not enemies. She looked at him seriously. Thank you for everything. Jace waved a hand. I just did what anyone would do. No, Rava said. Most would have walked past. But you came toward me. You listened when no one else did. Luma cooed and reached out her hand toward Jace. He smiled and took her tiny fingers in his. Oh, she likes you, Rava said, laughing. She has good taste, Jace replied. That afternoon, Rava met with the station commander. I don't want to return to my people, she said. They had their chance. I'd like to stay. Learn more about your world. Raise my daughter where she can be free. The commander agreed. We'll find you a place, he said. There are others like you here, those who escaped broken worlds. You'll have a new home among the stars. Weeks passed, and Rava began working in the hydroponics lab. Learning how to grow human crops, Luma grew stronger each day, her eyes bright, her laugh soft and full of wonder. Jace visited often, sometimes fixing broken machines, sometimes just bringing fruit or stories. He never said it out loud, but Rava could see it in his eyes. He'd come to care deeply. One evening, Rava looked over as Jace bounced Luma gently on his lap. "She's calling you," Rava said. Jace blinked. "What?" Her first word. Rava smiled. "She's trying to say your name." Jace froze, then smiled wide. "Say it again, little star," he whispered. "Say it again." And as Luma giggled, her voice soft and warm. The stars outside the window blinked slowly, like they were watching over them, a family made not by blood, but by choice, courage, and love. From one cry in the dark came a new beginning among the stars.